Hello, everyone. Welcome to That's Right with
Crystal
and Alisa, your favorite sister podcast, where you will see us black girling every week.
Yes.
Now, today our topic is about motherhood. The best hood. Oh, man, I don't even know where to start because the only thing that I do know is that there is no book, no manual to motherhood at all. Those of y'all who are looking at us, you will probably wouldn't believe what we have to deal with throughout the day, dealing with our children, life, everything that comes along with just being a mother. I am a mother of 4. It's funny because growing up, when your kids, you're playing house or whatever, you are thinking like you play around. You say, I want to have 1 kid or I want to have 2 kids. And you just float around. Some people know how many kids they want to have. But when I was younger, I said I wanted to have 4. I said I wanted to have 4 kids. And the reason why I said I wanted to have 4 kids, which I don't even think that it makes sense, is if I had 1, it will either be a boy or a girl. And so I was like, dang, well, if I have a girl, then the girl's probably going to want a sister. She's going to want a brother. So I was like, okay, well, then I'll just have 2. And so if I was like, dang, if I get 2, that's even, hopefully I get my boy and my girl and maybe I might be good. But then darn, the sister might want a sister and the brother might want a brother, and so I as not a young girl, but I'll probably say when I start 13, 14, start thinking about families and things like that.
That's a young girl. Be clear.
Here we go again.
Okay, go ahead.
Here we go again with the age bracket. Then I got to 3 and I'm just like, dang, that's uneven. Having 3 kids is just uneven. What if we go to Six Flags and we get on rides? I mean, it just, just processing all the thoughts of how many kids that I want to have. So yes, I made it to 4, and I made it to 4 because I feel like the Lord told me 4 was the answer.
Amen.
My last one, all my kids, my births were, I had good births all the way through, no C-sections, whatever. I had no complications. But my last one, I was actually on bed rest, had some issues with him. And when he came out, oh my goodness, he was the beautifulest baby. First. Oh my God, he was the beautifulest baby, but he cried. I dealt with him having colic. We were trying to figure out the formula. He vomited all the time. He was just so fussy to the point where I was fussing with him and just crying to God with him, like, God, what is going on? I did not know what to do with my baby. But in those moments, I realized that, okay, God, 4 is it. 4 is it. So I do have 1 girl. My precious girl, baby girl. She's my baby girl, but she's my oldest. She is 19, attending ASU. Woo to my baby. So she is representing her, for her siblings. She's being a great role model in that. Not to say that every child has to go to college, because college is not for everybody. But I have 1 beautiful daughter. I'm sure you guys will see her over time, and anybody that sees her or me probably would say, oh my gosh, this girl is a spitting image of you.
Twin.
Spitting.
Her twin.
I'm saying it, I'm telling y'all, but as a parent, you don't really see it like that. But when you are out, people stopping you like, oh my God, that's your twin. Like, yeah. It's crazy. And then, of course, follows 3 other of her siblings, which are boys. I have an 18-year-old. He's a senior right now. And then I have an 11-year-old going into middle school, 6th grade, which is a challenge for us, I would say, because we're transitioning from elementary to middle. And we already know what these middle schools is talking about right now. We'll get into that later. And then my baby, which is he's 8 and he's going into the 3rd grade. And let me tell you, when you have so many kids, you start forgetting the ages
and the names.
You start forgetting the names. You be calling, you start feeling old.
Right.
But contradictingly, you also start feeling young too, because kids, they keep you young. They do. They keep you young. So that probably does go into age. that does go into age. I feel like at the age that I am, I feel physically that I'm old.
Tired.
But tired. Yeah. Although it may not look that way. But mentally, of course, you know, I'm my kids keep me young. You know, I'm still listening to the RIP to Pop Smoke. You know, I'm still listening to the King Vons. You know, RIP to the people that I'm even mentioning right now, the little babies. You know, I'm still
Lil Baby
there.
passed away?
No, not little baby. Lord, world. We're not shocking the world. No, little baby is still here. The world will fight for little baby if anything happened to him because he's on top of his thing right now.
I love you for your obsession with these people.
It's the kids more so than anything, you know. But then at the end of the day, I love music, and that just brings me into my oldest daughter. She is me growing up. Oh my God, I love music. I love to dance. Like you can put me in anything, ballet, modern, whatever, and she is that. Like she loves to dance. She loves all the music. So me and her definitely can relate to that. I mean, TikTok is out now. So, you know, you have all the kids on TikTok.
I've been seeing her little TikToks and liking them on my secret page.
Her brothers. Okay. Yes. So, you know, kids, oh my God, they keep you young. But like I said at the beginning, there is just no manual. There's no manual to this. As a mother, all I could do with my kids, honestly, is just love them. I'm a sucker for love. I'm a sucker for love. And I tell you, their fathers, they tell me it all the time. And I don't know any other way. You know, I don't know any other way. Like I do discipline, but I don't discipline with pulling the belt out. Right. You know, I don't discipline with punching my boys in the chest to make them feel more of a man. I feel like as a mother, me personally, because there's so many different ways that you can raise your kids, you know. But in my household, this is kind of, I don't even want to say has worked for me because every household comes with their challenges. But for me, I just feel like I'm a communicator and I'm a talker when it comes to my kids. Right. You know, if you're doing wrong, we're going to talk about it. I'm going to let you know what you're doing wrong. And if you decide to, you know, not listen, lessons learned, right? But never if you don't decide to listen to what I'm telling you, because kids do that. They will test the water. Right. You know, right. I don't punish so deeply. I just communicate, you know? Right. Yeah, I mean, there's so much that we can say about motherhood, and I can go on and on and on and ramble about it, but I just love. I just love. I am weak to my kids, but they know me, you know. They know me to the point where they won't take too much advantage. Too much advantage, you know. Like I said, every kid will test the water, but they won't take that much advantage of me. And I say that I'll bring my 19-year-old as an example. My 19-year-old, honestly, every kid is so different. Out of all my kids, he gives me the worst problems. Like, he really does. But that's my baby. That was my first boy. So he's my baby. He's still my baby. But he has his uncle in him. Well, both of his uncle, from my side and from his father's side. And so he is very lackadaisical when it comes to cleaning up his room and things like that. So I find it all the time hard to just get him to clean his room. Like, I don't care what I tell that boy. And when he cleans it, he tells me that he's cleaned it, but it's like,
it's not clean.
Boy, what is your definition to clean? Stuff everywhere still, you know, and, you know, I do have some battles, right? I do have some battles with my kids, you know, especially him, you know, with the room, academically, you know, he's my boy that does not want to go to college, you know, whereas my daughter, you know, she wants to go to college, and, you know, we have that conversation with each other. You know, everybody's not meant to go to college, but you have to have a plan, you know, you have to have a plan. So we sit down and talked about that plan, or whatever. So school, because he knows he's not going to college, in his mind, he's like, school. Right. All right, Mom, I'm gonna go when I go. Boy, you're gonna get up and go to school. Right. But, you know, the teachers may call me and they may be like, oh, your son is so sweet. He's a good kid. We know his worth, this, that, but, he ain't turning in his homework, you know, and things like that. So, you know, I do battle with him with that, but he is now 18 and I would think that with that mentality, you would be reckless a little bit, growing up, not as mature, to face reality, maybe more so of a follower. But he's not that. He's not that. He's not that. So now he's more so a homebody. Right. He likes to play video games. Oh my God, these video games nowadays are not even what they used to be when we were growing up. Like we played with cartridges, first of all. Okay.
First and foremost.
We took the cartridges in, replaced them, and all that other stuff. Now you online, and if you tell your child to come here to do something, like, Mama, I can't do that. I'm on the game, Okay. You about to get the belt and everything. Mama, I can't pause the game. Oh, no. They willing to risk it all and take it all, for the games nowadays.
Yes.
And so my oldest son, followed by the younger brothers too, they are game heads. They are on the games. So honestly, my oldest boy he wasn't concerned for me. I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing as a parent? Am I doing something? What am I doing wrong? How's my baby going to turn out? So he's 18 now, and he's starting to kind of go out and venture out now, and just see life. He's going to parties when there's parties. He has a job. So I'm just a lover. So he wants to go out and hang with his friends. And I'm all okay with that because he very seldomly does that, So he asks to go out, and I don't even give him a curfew, I'm like, okay, baby, you want to go out? Go ahead. Because I'm kind of testing the water too. Right. This is my baby's first time going out. Let me just see what he's capable of.
Right.
My baby texted me probably around, because he had to work. And then he called me and said, Mommy, do you mind after I work if I go to the movies with my friends? So I already was like, that just built to me already because he's being responsible, right? So I'm like, yes, baby. Yes, of course. You can use a credit card. Go with your friends. And so he goes, and I'm going about my day, doing what I do. And it's getting a little dark. So I text him, and I'm like, baby, where are you? I'm concerned. I'm concerned. So he texts me back, and he was like, Mom, I'm with my friend, and I think I'm going to be staying out for probably about another 2 hours. I think I'll be home about 12 o'clock. Is that okay?
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. Coming from my 19-year-old and, his ways, I was just like, oh, my God, yes, baby. Like that, I didn't have to do much, but they get their mom. They understand their mom. She doesn't apply too much pressure, but she knows she wants me to do right. So, I definitely appreciated that in my oldest child. And it just going back to discipline. Like I don't know. I can probably count on one hand how many times that I really had to discipline my kids
with like corporal punishment.
Yeah. Like I might maybe take a phone away, for a couple of days. But then again, it's hard to discipline a child when you have other siblings too, because you're constantly moving, you're constantly doing things for all the siblings or for yourself. They still get the advantage because they're around, they're around. So it's still kind of, having multiple children is still hard to kind of discipline your kids. And thankfully for me, I can't say that mines are, outrageous with it, but I really feel like kids. if they were running wild and running crazy, I would be losing my mind right now because it's difficult. Right. It's difficult to be able to manage 4 kids, let alone one. Okay. Right. Let alone one, because you have to get on their level. You have to get on their level, and I think that's what I struggled with growing up too, being the youngest girl. And my parents were the parents where they were like, whatever I say goes, whatever I say goes. So what I tried to do is not be that parent, I try to give them their own personality, give them their own way to communicate, express their feelings so that we can talk it out, because my way may not be the right way all the time. I may be wrong. I'm not perfect, so I do take the time to try to hear my kids out just to see where they're even at, and if they're wrong, try to really, instill some light and instill some light into them, But I just go back to saying it's just not easy.
It's not.
It's not easy.
It's fun.
It's fun,
It's
sis.
fun.
It is fun.
It is fun.
It is fun. So all the parents or non-parents or females out there, guys that are young, that do not have any kids, who are scared or whatever the case may be, you're just not there yet in life. It is fun.
It is.
That's the most important thing about it too. It's fun. And life is what you make it, right?
Right.
So it's as fun as what you make it, I don't know, sis. I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Girl.
God, and I can't wait because your love, your family is my love, my family, and I just love every last one of y'all.
It's a lot of us.
It's a lot of you guys. It is. Goodness gracious.
So let's see. We are a blended family, and I have 3 biological children, 2 boys and 1 girl, and then 3 bonus daughters. And so I have been married nearly 8 years, and my husband actually adopted my children. So the first 14 years of motherhood, I'm married and divorced and remarried, Lord. But God is good. Right.
Yes.
Still, right.
All the time.
And so I
That's
got married
right.
very young. I've been a mother for a very, very long time. Like my entire adult life, I've been a mother. That's the best thing I do. I tell people that all the time. Like I'm an excellent attorney. I'm an excellent wife, wonderful sister, wonderful daughter. But baby, I am an excellent mother. I take mothering very seriously. I'm very thankful. I take the fact that God trusted me with little humans, and there is an expectation of how they will turn out, and I am in charge of how they turn out. And I used to tell them when they were little, I have to make sure you are good people when you get older. And teachers, because I raise my kids a very specific way. And so when teachers would come to me and say things, and they're just like, oh, you are helping your children too much. I'll never forget when my children are 23, 20 and 19, and my biological children. And then I have the bonus daughters are 21, 18, and 13. So we have from 23, 21, 23, 21, 20, 19, 18, and 13. A lot of kids. But when I was raising my, I'll never forget Chris, my 20-year-old boy, who's my heart. And all of them, next level love. But he was 7 and give me a time in 2nd grade. And, he wasn't turning it. He was doing his homework, but not turning it in. And I remember going to the classroom and saying, I was walking him down to the classroom because that's the mother I am. So you're not going to not turn your homework in, right? Like not homework that we did together. So I walked him down. I just stood outside the classroom door, and I was like the room mom because I'm gonna be there. Y'all know I get all over the place. It is very important to show up for your children. It is very important to be there. And God blessed me with, at that time I was working for a small company that allowed me to come in late, to be there, to be at every performance, to be Thursday mornings was when the room moms came in and did the stuff for the class. I was there every single Thursday. I do not play the radio about my children. I have never played the radio about my children. And so they went to a public charter school, but I was walking my son down every day. And then one day the principal, who loved me, calls me into the office, and it's like, hey, you're kind of disrupting Miss So-and-so's class. And I'm like, by doing what? And she's like, you can't go to the classroom every day. And I said, I'm not even going in. And I explained to her the situation, that my 7-year-old is not turning in his homework, and I want to make sure that it's turned in because it's done. And so the principal was like, oh, she made it seem like you were like coming in after the bell, whatever. And the teacher emails me, and it's like, he needs to learn some independence. He's 7. So I am going to stand here. If I have to walk my son to every class until he's 18, guess what I'm going to do? Because I'm his mama for life. And so people are like, oh, that's babying. No, because at some point, he's going to do it on his own. At some point, he will get it. But he doesn't get it by himself. He doesn't get it by me throwing him into the world. I have to model this, right? And so I did it. And now he's get on a plane, go to Vegas, do his thing, enroll in school. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, like you're doing it. But it's at 7, I didn't decide that my son was, obviously he's not old enough to turn his homework in. He ain't turning it in. Obviously he's not mature enough, and he should. I mean, my 19-year-old daughter, Kennedy, daughter of all daughters. I tell you, one of one. Whenever we would go places, they're 10 months apart. Everyone is like, she's much more mature. She's so mature. So I never had to do any of that with her. I didn't have to do it with my oldest son. But with the middle, I had to do it, and I was going to do it. And that's the thing. You do whatever parenting takes for me. So I haven't decided. My children, I have two children in college. My children have these very creative careers. My daughter is at top culinary school in the nation, killing it. Awesome. Ooh, she's awesome.
That's right.
She's gone to New York doing her thing. Creative career. My oldest son is an actor. You have seen him on television. He's been an actor since he was 11 years old or 12 years old. And then my Chris, my middle son, is an athlete. They want to do those, and I support it all, but I give them direction, right? And so I am all about, and Kennedy is in school, but they live here, right? And I'm going to mother. And so people are like, I don't believe in, I've worked my entire life since I was a child because I wanted to. I didn't necessarily have to work young, but I wanted special things for myself and my parents. I grew up very poor. And so if I wanted things, I worked for them or whatever. For the most part, when I got in high school, I had a little bit of money. I want my mama to watch this and be like, no, my God, you was not poor, because that's how my mama is. But like by the time I got to high school, we were on better footing and things were better. But I still worked to get those extra things. My kids, they don't work. They don't. I mean, Kennedy has she's a pastry chef. So she sells her baking or whatever. And MJ is an actor, so he gets paid extremely well. You guys don't know how much these people make. It's crazy. He worked for like equivalent to about 4 weeks when he was 18 years old and made $50,000.
That's awesome.
4 weeks on one show.
At 18. And
so, I mean, he was there for like months, but like I said, when you put it all together for the year, he might have worked for him anyway. So, but good. He's
more than pretty.
I'm sick of him. Anyway, that's it. So they do well, but I'm very supportive, and I'm going to hold your hand through it all. Like MJ's moving to New York to do some things or whatever, and he's texting me like, "Well, I'm here. The apartment's here." He's 23, and he's probably downstairs on the video game. He's got comic books all over his wall. But these are my children. I have a charge to take care of my children. I take motherhood extremely, extremely, extremely seriously. And people are like, oh, they don't work. Oh, because they have to work for the rest of their lives. I've worked since I was 14, 16. I mean, not hard labor, but I'm grown. I'm tired. And so every bit of work they've ever done has been in the field that they will land in later. And it's been fun for them. And it's been something that they've been able to control and decide whether they're not waking up like, oh my God, I can't do this because I got to go to work tonight. You're 17. Like, that's a weird thing that you're making a decision between having fun with your friends and you don't. And so that's just me. And I'm thankful because I do have the benefit of, being able to provide for my children, and they live a very, very good life. But that's the God in them, and I raised them, and that's important. I know I'm gonna talk about God, but my kids know God, and they know their own God. They don't know their mama's God. So when I need prayer, I can go to my children. If I need prayer, I can say, y'all pray for me. They will send me things. Say, hey, the Lord told me this. This is on my spirit, Mom. And I'm just like, because I don't share my. I'm not the mom who feels like your kids need to like know when you're down, know your budget, know your. That's not who I am. I feel like you let kids be kids. They don't need to carry the weight of parenting. So, even before I had, I was in the financial position I was in, my kids would ask me for things, and if I couldn't do it, I'd be like, okay, we'll see. I'm not like, oh, I'm putting the roof over your head and blah, blah. And people do that, and that's okay. And that's, do what you doing. But in my house, my kids don't feel like a burden. Now, they're adults. And when they don't work, y'all, I'm going to tell y'all something. All I ask my kids to do is water my plants. That's it. I promise y'all. That is, I have plants all over my home. All I ask those, because Kennedy gone. Kennedy is going to do her thing. I asked those boys water my plants. My plants dead, and I start screaming at them. I put a roof over your head. Like, they don't. Let me tell y'all, I have my 23 and 20-year-old children. They have access to my Platinum American Express. They don't put gas in their car. Like, they don't have to do anything. They have zero bills. They don't have to. They need tires changed, whatever. I pay for that. I pay for the gas in their car. I pay. Anytime they want to eat, they pay for zero. Why y'all can't water your mama plants? Why I gotta come home to the plants being dead?
Yes.
You know, so and those times I'm like, you stay here for free. Right? Like then I'm yelling and screaming like that. Like we're a big designer clothes family. We're really, really superficial and petty.
Yeah.
But they might
Too funny.
They might come and be like, oh, I want these $600 shoes. Next thing you know, they're surprised with the shoes. Like that's the mama I am.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You can't water the plants.
Mm-hmm.
Why the plants can't get water?
Mm-hmm.
Like what is this even? You know, but those are the times that I will say, like, you know, you stay here for free and you what, because y'all are grown now. Like I didn't do that to them as little kids, but y'all are grown. Y'all can help me out. But I take parenting seriously. I've taken motherhood seriously my entire life. And I've always, you know, tried to be the best mother. And Lisa was saying, you know, she's a communicator. I don't believe in corporal punishment. Now let Chris tell it. I used to beat them when they was little. Chris will tell you in a second that he remembers getting beat with a beat, right? Like this is the South, y'all. So y'all might say spanked or whipped or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a black girl from the South. We beat the kids, right? So I got beat growing up, right? Like, but let me just not abuse mama, because I know that's gonna be a thing. But like beat. My son will, if he had the opportunity to talk to y'all, he's gonna tell y'all that he remembers getting beat on at least 2 occasions. I don't know. He wants to have this thug life, right? Like oh, no, you didn't get beat. You got talked to. You know what I'm saying? And I'm the queen of taking stuff away. So Chris missed many a birthday parties. I done planned the birthday parties, sent the invitations out, booked the space, paid the deposit. This brother acted up in school, no birthday party. 0, zilch, no. So those things he would miss, or I would cancel Christmas. So I am big on that type of, you know, and I believe you give kids things so you can take them away. Hands down. Like, so I get you so interested in something or whatever. Another thing I employed and just in mothering is safe space. So it is very important. I tell all my friends about this, and people I even just come across. If you have children, I learned this when my children were very young, to create a safe space for them. So they could come to me, and because I'm a yeller. So I might not hit you, but I'm a scream. Obviously I'm a lot. So they're going to get fussed at. But they could come and say, Mom, I need a safe space. And that meant I could not react. Like I couldn't get overly excited. I couldn't get overly upset. So they would announce safe space, and I would know whatever they say. And when they're little, y'all, if you choose to employ this, and I think you should, because my 23-year-old is still calling me with a safe space, and he said that he has even put it in his relationships with friends. Like, you can come with a safe space. So when they're little, they're going to come and say, I lost my pencil at school. And you're like, it's okay, you know, because that's something, whatever. By the time they're 16, they're telling you some stuff they've actually done. And then you're like, okay, safe space, I can't react. But you feel safe enough to come to me and have this conversation. And then it keeps me, because everything is not a yelling thing, mama, right? Like, and I think that's how I grew up, because my mama was a yeller. So I'm a yeller. So when they say safe space, you just immediately are triggered to, hey. And that way they tell you things. They're not afraid to tell you things because they know they're not going to get in trouble. Like, literally, there's no consequence. Once you tell me something in safe space, I don't turn around and now say, oh, I'm taking your PlayStation. Oh, you can't go out. It's like, okay, you use a safe space. And I was telling someone recently, and they said, what if they abuse it? It never occurred to me, because my kids never did. They never abused the safe space. They never used it to get out of trouble. They just were like, this is something my mom needs to know. And so the safe space is very, very, very sacred. And what's funny, my oldest son, so the one thing I'm very proud of is that I have my biological children, 3, like they are so spiritually grounded, but I raised them from babies that way. They love God. They fear God. They don't fear me. They fear God. So they're all virgins. So 23, 20, 19, never had any sexual intercourse or whatever. So my son comes to me this past April Fool's Day. And I knew he was going to do something because my daughter April Fooled them. And so I was like prepared. So they called me and told me that Kennedy did something. So I was prepared all day. So he comes in and he's like, Mom, and he's an actor. He's a really great actor. Mom, I need a safe space. So I was like, here we go. I just knew. So he sits down and he starts to tell me that he and this little girl he was been on again, off again with had sex, and they needed, and she was pregnant. I cussed him out. I cussed him out in the safe space. And he started screaming, April Fools! And so I was like, I got you back. April Fools! I knew your April Fools exposing me. And so then he was like, you violated the safe space. And it was so funny because in that moment, like that was just this year at 23 years old, I realized he counted on me not to violate the safe space. And that is so beautiful. Because I was like, I can't believe you couldn't hold out. He's like, it was the safe space. and they hold the safe space sacred. And so they say all the time, and my kids are really close, and I'm glad when they grew up, I didn't have a lot of money. So I lived in a 2-bedroom townhome. So the 3 of them shared a room, and they grew up in that room. I didn't let them watch TV during the week. I didn't believe in it because TV wasn't going to raise my kids. And now it's different. Lord, I'm thankful that I'm not raising my kids in like this. Like iPods were new and Kindles were new when they were little. So they had those things, but they couldn't access them. You could only access them on the weekend. So there was no television. So they're all extremely creative because my oldest son would sit and tell my baby stories. And so they had this thing called kindergarten adventures that MJ just made up and would tell them at night. And so when they were little, they thought that's what kindergarten was. And it wasn't until they were teenagers that they realized that they were all made up stories. And then they were very musical. So like MJ plays the piano, Chris plays the drums, Kennedy plays the guitar and the piano. So my house was always full of music. So they always had stuff. And Kennedy was a cheerleader, Chris played basketball, MJ was an actor. There was always something going on. So they weren't just sitting watching paint dry. But there was no television until the weekends. So the weekends, and then when we watched television, it was as a family. So we would all come together and we would choose. I didn't have cable, y'all. So we would watch Netflix and we would choose one show. So like we watched like all of Malcolm in the Middle, the entire series. We would watch it all the way through the Arthur, the cartoon. And then we ate dinners together every night. And we did this thing called highs and lows. So at dinner, we would say, what was the high part of your day? And highs, lows, and what could have been better. What was the highest part of your day? What was the lowest part of your day? And what do you think? Oh, it's kind of middle and it could have been better. So I did that for them every single night growing up. Like it was, and so I have raised, people come to me, and like, y'all, I don't think humility is doubting who you are and being shy about who you are and not owning who you are, right? Like people want you to own who you are when you are negative. So they want you to, own that you're a user or a hater or own that, right? But when you say like, I'm excellent, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you're being like that. Like, no, I am. I'm an excellent mother. I've raised excellent children. Yes. And my people come to me and they talk about how amazing my kids are because I took my charge of motherhood very, very, very seriously. And I took it even when I married my husband and my bonus kids, took it too seriously. So there was if you're a stepmother, that is a fine line. And me knowing like I am the mom of all moms. Like I have done this thing. My kids honor me. Like they honor me. It is a beautiful thing to watch them honor me. And so when I moved into the stepmother position, it was difficult. And I didn't understand it so I grew up with a stepmom who was really close with my mom. So my mom would take me and my step siblings when she came, because I was living with my dad for part of the time, she would take us out and they would hang out together. And it was this just kind of how it was. And so that was my knowledge of a blended family, was that everybody was blended and everybody was in love. And my stepmother could, discipline me or whatever. Not like she didn't hit me, but she talked to me and she was there for me. And she could call my mom, and my mom didn't even care to check my stepmom because that was my mama too, and my dad has since, and she wasn't even my real stepmom because she was my dad's girlfriend, and I have a sister as a result of that. And now my dad has moved on to someone else. I love my daddy is the first man I've ever loved, the first man who loved me. He is hands down the best man I know, but however, I wasn't married to him. I was his daughter. I am his daughter. So he's since moved on and it was with someone else. But this woman is still my mom. Like I met her when I was 12 years old. I'm old now. She's still my mom. She lives maybe 8 minutes from me now. So there was never an issue with, my mom feeling like this is my daughter. Don't say to her, don't do to her. Like, so I didn't know. I thought that's what that was my only interaction with the step parent. So I come into this situation really strong, like, hey, this is kind of, because I'm a super strict parent, like super strict in the sense of, like I said, my kids didn't watch TV. We watched it together. They, didn't have social media. Like they couldn't have social media till they were well into their teen years. We just didn't do a lot of things. We prayed together. Like, so that's the one thing Y'all don't, I'm not going to start. I am living the answers to my prayers now. But I prayed those prayers when my babies were like 4 years old. My kids were fasting and praying as little bitty kids. And that's why I'm telling you, they know their own God. Mm-hmm. And they will come to me and they will tell me the things that the Lord has told them and the things that the Lord has told them about me. And when I need a prayer partner, I don't have to go anywhere other than my house. Mm-hmm. Like I do, I have friends that I pray with, but my children, and I'm thankful that God, I don't know how, because I don't know why God chose me to be such a good mother, but I'm a good mother. Mm-hmm. But when I moved into this situation, I was taking what I use for my children, and they have been raised, my stepchildren have been raised completely differently. And so I came in like, oh, let me fix this, because I'm the mom of all moms. And different doesn't mean bad. Like they have wonderful mothers. Mm-hmm. But I came in with a real superiority complex. Mm-hmm. Like, well, you're not doing it like my kids, so like obviously this is wrong. Mm-hmm. And so I began kind of like attacking the way that they had been raised, and it was very isolating and polarizing. And so I ran into, obviously, you're going to run into some struggles if you come into a situation like that, right? So I ran into some struggles, and you know that I ran into some struggles with them. But we have since like reconciled, and it is good, but you got to know your place. Mm-hmm. And I was so happy to be a mom, and I'm so like because I always wanted more children, so happy to be a mom to more children. And I thought my way was the best way. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, oh, this is how we do things now. No, you've been raised for the last 12 years of your life with it being done like this, but hey, my way's better than your mom's way. That's absurd. And now, honestly, as a family law attorney, when I have mothers who are stepmothers who are like, oh, well, this, I'm like, please get out of your own way, because you're about to ruin a whole bunch of relationships, And so now my relationship with my stepdaughters is really, really great. The relationship with the youngest one has always been like wonderful. And she and her mom, both moms are really, really, really good. But she was really young when I came into the situation. So it was a different situation. But it is still hard, even though my children are excellent children, it's still hard because they're still kids, but you raise, it's hard because I raised them to be independent thinkers. So what I used to do for my children when they were little, if I would say, I would never say because I said so, or never say no for whatever reason. If they would ask me for something and I would say no, they would say, can I argue for it? So I taught them to think. And if you could present a valid argument and change my mind, this is before I was even an attorney. Okay. If you could, in my 20s, I wanted to be a good mom so bad.
I understand that.
But in my 20s, I would say, if you can argue for it, you can present a valid argument, I'll change my mind. Yeah. And so if I would say no, they would say, can I argue for it? And I say, absolutely. So they would know, they would have their argument ready. And they 100% of the time they win. 100 because they thought it through.
Absolutely.
And so now no one can get over on my children. It's wild. Even my husband's like, those kids are gonna think it through. They think everything, are such critical thinkers. Yes, it is and it's annoying. So now when I want you to just kind of like, just get in line because I know better than, they're like, but maybe you don't, because here's my position. When'd you get a position? Like at 2, when you taught me that I can start arguing for my outfit, right? And I had to check Chris the other day, talking about like, we're on vacation, and he was, I don't even remember what we were having a conversation about, but he was actively arguing with me as his mother. And so I said, let me talk to you. Because what I don't play the radio. So I said, I'm still your mother. He was like, but you weren't listening to me. I said, so he started raising his voice. And so I said, I don't care how old you get, I'll knock you down. My son is 6'5". I said, I'll knock you down. And so he's like, but I was trying to say you were talking over me. But he really, let me say this, he was right. I should have respected him as a human being, not as a mother or son, but as a human being, I really should not have been talking over him. However, I'm your mama. So even if you felt disrespected, you don't raise your voice at your mother. But he felt like I have let him be a human being first and not my child. And so he was like, well, you're yelling at me, so I'm going to yell back at you. And we had a conversation, and he apologized later. And then I apologized because I'm a big time apologizer. So I apologized. I was like, I should have let you get your point out, because in some instances, I had misunderstood him. And if I had not been talking over him, then I would have understood what he was saying or whatever. And so, but I have raised such independent thinkers. And so but I think that's important with motherhood. Absolutely. I think it's important to not create little clones, even though you may be a really great person. I think it's important to make sure that your kids can think for themselves, right? Absolutely. And that they and that they care about life and community and people. And that's another thing I'm most proud of. Like Kennedy was at school, so I celebrate my kids. And one thing, and especially with my daughters, I spend a lot of money anyway, because that's who I am. But I spend money on them because my position is, and on the boys too. The boys are probably more expensive, but nobody's gonna come to my daughters and give them anything that their mama can't give them. Amen. So y'all have been to Paris, you've been to London, you've flown first class, you have Chanel, you got all that stuff. You and anything you can think that you want, call your mama, because no one is going to come in and shine a bag in your face or a trip or some money. And then you're like, oh my God, yes, I'm so in love. Like standards. You have to come. It is about setting standards. You have to come correct, right? Like you better be coming with is some God. Because that's what they don't play. First. Like they don't.
First. That's right.
It is just so beautiful. The way that they love God and they put that first, and it's very important to them. And when they bring the situation to me, they're like girls or whatever, I do ask the boys to please stop talking to me about these little girls till you get married. I'm sick and tired of these little girls. But the first thing is she love God. That's all I want. That y'all can pray together, that y'all can, and it's beautiful. So my son, Chris, starts his conversations off with, because Chris is, the way he looks, you would never think that he loves God as much as he loves God, and that he's, celibate or virgin or whatever, because he's 6'5" and long locks and handsome. Really gorgeous and a nice body, everything that you and personality, real Atlanta, right? Like real Atlanta. Yes. And so, for all intents and purposes, girls are really attracted to that. So he starts his conversations off with them by saying, "I don't be having sex." And I love that. I love that. So he tells me, he's like, yeah, like, I tell him I don't be having sex. And so I'm just like, and I, how do they respond? He's like, well, they don't believe it until you're 6 months in and he's not having sex with you. You know what I mean? And he's had some struggles. He's had some real struggles and walk away from relationships that he thought were going to be long-term. I mean, he's 20. Get real. But he thought at 20 years, I was married at 20, so what do I know? But he thought that he would be in these long relationships, but because he fears God and he honors God and he loves God, and you came into the relationship saying you had that same relationship with God, but when he's challenging you on that in the sense of, I am going to maintain my wholeness and my integrity before the God that I serve, then you're like, I can't believe that, you won't do this. And one girl told him that he wouldn't go to hell for having sex. And he said, but it's a sin. And why would I do that? These are mothers, protect your sons, because it's the girls out here acting.
It starts in middle school. I think I mentioned that.
It does. It can start early, but you have to. The one thing that I'm most pleased with is it's just you hear your kids. My kids, we have a thing where like, let me tell you about my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That's what we do in our house. When we come home, we get excited about God, and they come in like, oh Mom, let me tell you about God. Let me tell you. And then even down to the way that, because we are very serious about money, the way we spend money and whatever, we're not frugal at all. But when they get money, they're like, it's because I gave, and they can trace the biblical foundation for why they've been blessed, right? And that is most beautiful to me, because God gave me that and I gave that to y'all, and you'll give it to your kids, and you pray for your motherhood is also about prayer. So I have prayed for my grandkids and my great grandkids and my bloodline, because from when my kids were little, I prayed that they never, so when they were little, I used to succumb to peer pressure, and I didn't want that for my kids. And so when they were little, I would pray for them. I would pray that, Lord, when they get in high school, there's going to be peer pressure, and I just don't want them, succumbing to it. And my kids have never, I've never had to come pick them up from school. Never had. They just, people are just different. And they've never had like a ton of friends. I will say that. Their circles have always been really small. Kennedy has never been involved. My daughter ain't never been involved with drama. Never. She doesn't gossip. She doesn't do any of that. That's because I prayed. That is because I firmly believe that. And I remember when Kennedy she was a all-star cheerleader, like a competitive travel cheerleader, and she was a beast, obviously. She was 7 years old, and these girls were being mean to her on the playground. I'll play by my kids. I'll fight a little kid. And they were being mean, and they wouldn't play with her at school. And I was so worried about it. I was stressed out about it. So I get home, and I'm like, oh my God, what did you do? How was it? I was like, who did you play with at recess? She was like, I played by myself. She was completely unfazed. The teacher had called. It was the thing. And she was like, I'm good with me.
Yes.
Right. And so, but that's who she's always been. Like, my kids are good with themselves. And even to the extent that, like, I remember my oldest son went through, I want to be very transparent, he went through a period of depression when he was suicidal when he was 18. I never knew, right? Like, here I am, pat myself on the back. Great, Mom, look at you. Awesome, safe space, whatever. And he had gone to LA to pursue acting. And he had booked, like, he was on Queen Sugar. Like, he was working. And he came home, and he comes to my room one day, and he tells me, it's like 18. He's like, or maybe this had to be before Queen Sugar, right after. It was after Queen Sugar. He says, the Lord told me I had to come talk to you. I was like, okay, because we talk. My kids and I talk. And then he starts telling me these things, and he was just like telling me how like he had felt like he couldn't be himself around anyone except one of his oldest cousin or older cousin. And he was saying this for years. For years he had felt like this. And so, but we rallied around him, and we prayed, and we whatever. And so now, like, he's 23, and he's like, we go back and we talk about it sometimes, that because I loved on him, and like I said, our family came around, and we were just light in his darkness. And so, and we didn't go to church or anything like that, but we just were his light in his darkness. And he is now 23 and A-okay. But it's about not giving up on your kids, and it's about them not turning 18 and saying that it's over and I've done my job, and all of that. Like, I'm mother, and I'm gonna mother, and I don't get everything right, and they'll come and tell me, and they will. They will tell me when they've been they feel misunderstood, and I remember I was yelling at my daughter one day because she went on a date, and the dude made her sneak into a movie. Sneak. I was so upset.
Keyword.
I was like, Kennedy, you did that before God. It's like, you stole. And I was like, you should have never. I was just kind of going off. And then I was so disappointed. And then she comes in the room later. She lets me sit in my disappointment. And she's like, Mom, I didn't have my money. She said I had no other choice. And this is me, because I know this kid and his parents really well. So I didn't even think it was her first date. I never thought to prepare her, like, always have your own money. Like, I don't know why I didn't do that, And so she was like, I didn't have my own money, so I couldn't. And she said, but I told him I didn't want to do it. And she said, and I knew if I called you, you were going to call his mom. And she didn't want that drama, because I was about to bring you drama.
How dare you?
I said, and I haven't told his mom till this day, but that's just in prayer. But anyway, so the next day, on her own, she went to the movie theater, and she paid for the movie.
Oh.
And she told them that she snuck into the movie the day before. And then she went, and she paid for it. But I firmly believe that if you raise your children and you listen to them and give them voices.
Yes, give them voices.
Give them voices.
Absolutely.
And then it is like, in motherhood, I feel like we've talked a lot about our kids. Motherhood isn't all we do. And so it is a challenge I'm thankful that I have found this level of success when my children are much older, because I don't have time to cook for them now. And I'm being honest, like my kids are very much like used to mom taking care of everything. So that my 23-year-old would text me now, what's for dinner? I'm sorry, grown man.
All day.
I'm sorry, grown man. You know what I mean? But when they were little, and that's the thing, like, I don't know that without being a mother, you can grasp motherhood. You can see it all day, but I went to law school full time. I worked full time, and I raised children full time. And I didn't graduate law school early, opened my own firm, did all of that, and raised my children in the fear of the Lord. And that is a feat. It is a feat. And so to our viewers, I say, if you are mothering and it feels like it's hard and it feels like, it's never ending. It's never ending. Let me tell you something. Never. Because the teacher's going to try you and the coach is going to try you and your kids are going to try you. Right?
And kids are going to try your kids.
Yes. And so, and you have to be a mother when you come home from work. Yes. And your boss is on your nerves, or you're a business owner and your employees are on your nerves and your clients are on your nerves, or when things are awesome. Like I don't even want to make it about, you may have had a wonderful day and you come home and you want to celebrate and your kid is broken. Yes. And so you have to put all that aside and you have to mother, and that thing is hard and people don't get it. And so when people are having these breakdowns and stuff like that, like I love, and I know that people have breakdowns who are Christians, so I don't want this to be taken as, well, if you're a Christian, you believe God, then you shouldn't be having a bad day. No, because people have bad days all the time. People have, mental health issues all the time, who are in God, right? Like who love God and fear God. So I don't want that to be a thing. Sometimes it's just hard because you're not living just your life. If I was living my life, I would have quit a million times. But you're living for your children, and you're not even trying to set, because sometimes I can't even put together myself to set an example, but I got to keep you alive. And so it's not even about the example that I'm setting sometimes. Sometimes it's just about making sure you don't die. And that's physically, that's mentally, that's emotionally. Sometimes it's just making sure you can hold your head up in this world. That is taxing. Y'all got to cut mothers some slack. Right. And then the whole, what motherhood should look like, right? Like I see a lot of things, I go back to social media, beta my existence. But you see like, oh, you shouldn't be dressed like that because when you're a mom, you shouldn't be. That's all she got is the short shorts. These kids are running her crazy. Let her put on her short shorts.
That's me.
Right. Like, let her, this is her weekend out. So she's on and she's drinking and she may be smoking and this is all she's got to worry about keeping a kid alive and thriving. Yes. Probably 23 hours a day. Let her have this, mother should be this and mother. I'm a mama. And I have not always done everything right, but the things that y'all think I'm doing wrong, I'm out here making it and surviving, and my kids are excellent. Yes. And so, shout out to the moms and the people and the aunts. And I'm a godmother. Yes. I am a godmother to
Amen. That's right.
Amazing. I would be remiss if I did not mention them. My oldest goddaughter has passed on, and I know that she is in heaven with my father. I have two amazing godchildren that make my world. Like I've known them before they were born. Like I've known their mom is my oldest friend, and I'm a mother. So I am a mother in every sense of the word. Right? And I'm an aunt, and I love all of my nieces and nephews like something serious. Like I was made for that. But for people who can't have their own children, like if there was anything I would say, if there's anything there are mothers around you, give them a break. Like if it doesn't, you might not have your own children by choice, right? Like that's a thing. My goddaughter thinks she's not gonna have no kids, but she better have some children. Somebody around me better be having kids is the point, because I'm going to need some grandkids. But in the event you have chosen not to have kids, and I whatever you want to do with your body and your life, I support that. But if there is a mother, even if she's not openly like breaking down and say, because we don't get that. We gotta cry in the bedroom because our kids can't see us crying because our kids love us and they're gonna want to come to us and
that emotion. We can feel the same pain.
You can't put that on your kid.
Yes.
You can't. So you have to go and cry in the bathroom or in the car, and you sometimes can't bring it home to your husband because he gonna want to fix it. So you may not know the struggle that the mother that you know is feeling. Send them a Starbucks gift card.
Listen,
there's
been plenty of times as a mother, and recently, that I've just had to pull away. Take a mental break. And away from home, okay? Go out to the Mexican restaurant, happy hour, and just do you by yourself, just for an hour, just to get that quick woosah.
Right.
Honestly.
Because people don't, and you, because you're not crying, we don't want to be mothers. But that thing is, especially when we're more than mothers, right? Especially when we're running our own businesses, especially when we're wives, especially when we're friends, especially when we're volunteers, especially when we're community leaders, right? Like we don't get the benefit. But if you see a mom, even if she's never complained to you, you know, shoot her a text. You're doing a great job.
Yes,
let me tell you something. I have gotten those, like my best friend will send me texts like that all the time. And it's just like, I haven't said anything to you. I haven't any of that, but
out the blue.
You know that I'm responsible for children's lives and them turning into something. So that's the weight of that. And I don't think society really, I think that mothers say mothers are awesome and oh my gosh, your mother should be, you know, they say that. But if you understood what motherhood really was, if you understood the charge associated with motherhood, I think that there would be a different reaction to mothers, right? I think there would be a different level of support for mothers. Because a lot of times you have these mothers who cannot mother at their highest because there is no support. There's no support. And so they are doing the best that they can. But there's got to be something more, some resources, or just an understanding, because sometimes understanding goes a long way, I think. And so when that's not there, then your world is crumbling, and then not your world, but then the kids that you're mothering,
impacted in that world too. And
so it's just been, I don't know. I'm off on a tangent because that's who I am as a person, but I love being a mother. It is challenging. I wouldn't pretend that it's not challenging. Sometimes, so you raise your kids to talk to you, and they're gonna talk to you.
Yes.
So you get home and I've had a long day at work. Maybe I've been in trial. Maybe I've been crying along the way. And then your kids want to come home and they want to talk to you.
They do want to talk to you.
And the last little 10% of life you have to give that to them. And you can't feel burdened by them because I don't want to tell my kid, like, please stop talking. Like, even as adults, like, because I'm not going to always feel this way.
Yeah.
And so I don't want you to remember the time that you were excited about something and your mom came home from work, had given her energy to another thing, and she asked you to stop talking.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of putting yourself to the side and a lot of waiting in motherhood that I just don't think any fathers are good for you. And maybe single fathers. I've never dealt with this. I've never known personally a single father raising their children, right? So maybe that's a thing that happens to them. So I don't want anyone to feel like their position is in any way diminished.
Absolutely.
But I know in my house, and I don't want to be generalizing, my husband is excellent. He is excellent with our children.
Yes.
But it's different.
My baby too.
It is different, right? Like it's different, the pull on the mom, because my kids might call me with something. I'm like, did you call your dad? It's like, not yet. I called you first.
Mom first. Mom first.
And so the pull and let me tell you why. Because mama's gonna give you what you're looking for.
Yeah, we're gonna try. We're gonna break it down. We like you said, it's the analytical process. You know, so they know that they can communicate it, to you, and you're gonna understand.
Yes, and dads, like I feel like dads are like, oh, good job, that's great, and mamas are like, hello,
okay,
all that yelling,
that's
whatever.
Right.
We are going to do all of that for the
emotion.
Kids, and dads are just like they're proud because.
Good job, man.
Yes, and then now my husband, what he'll do, because he is a man's man and he feels like boys should be men and there's a certain whatever.
Oh, goodness.
So he might tell me, like, oh my God, I'm so proud of them. With all this emotion, I'm like, why are you not expressing that to them? Like, no, because he doesn't need, if I tell him that, he's going to feel like this. So I just want to keep working hard.
The tough side of the men. Yeah.
And it's like, he can keep working hard and get the praise. Nope, I don't want to get his head too big. So, but he will be so excited and talking to me about it. But that's another thing, women don't, moms rather, I don't think we pick and choose how we're going to express ourselves. Like I'm not as calculating as I don't want my children to react like this, or I do want them to. I'm just gonna give you that genuineness.
Yeah, the genuine. Yes.
Whatever. So I don't know.
No, I'm feeling everything that you're saying.
And then I just, if we further qualify to being a Black mother, I cannot tell you what motherhood is like in any other race, because I have never walked those shoes. I've never, and I will say I have a lot of clients, and I feel like we're the same. This is just real. Like I feel like motherhood is hard in every race, and I feel like I'm able to give them advice as their attorney, and as sometimes I just step out and say, I can't counsel you as a mother. Because if I did, I would have taken my kids and run, honestly. But I can't tell you to do that in this situation. But I can tell you, if I step outside of my role as your attorney, I get it. I get that it's hard and you feel underappreciated,
Yes.
and you feel pressed, especially when it's you alone. And I've been a single mother, and that thing don't feel good. You know, it doesn't when it's you.
Shout out to all the single mothers.
Shout out to all the single mothers.
Yes.
Because it is hard. It is hard, and because you're responsible for other little kids, and then the dads, and when I say single mother, I don't mean a mother who is not married and you're co-parenting and the dad is active. That's not a single mother to me. A single mother is a mother raising these kids alone.
Period.
That's a single mother, you know, and that's a lot of people.
Yes.
And I've been a single mother where it's just, you know, and that's a hard thing, because at least in a co-parenting relationship, you know, your kids go to see their dad every other weekend or whatever time, you know,
you get some type of balance within that.
No, baby. Single mother, if you don't have a real hardcore group issue in them kids, it is you and the children. And so, you know, I think that, and that's what I tell my husband, like, my kids and I are so close, but not for my kids know I'm not their friends. I don't play the friend game. I don't. And that's another thing. I think that a lot of times mothers, especially single mothers, I don't know, I don't want anybody to feel like isolated, polarized by this, but like they befriend their children. Your kids, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna say it like hard, your kids are not your friends. Like, I love my daughter, she is a better person than I'll ever be. Kennedy,
amen,
better person than I'll ever be. She loves better than I do. She is a better person than I will ever be. But I don't share my stuff with her. Now, she may come and tell me everything about her life. She knows nothing about mine other than I'm her mother. She knows the mother. She doesn't know what goes on. My husband and I obviously are going to argue because that's the nature of marriage, right? She don't know about that. There's no reason for her to know the things when I'm angry, when I'm whatever. Like, I might tell her about things that happen in trial, but I don't share with her like a friend, because that's a burden. You might feel, she might be laughing and kikiing or whatever, but that is a burden that she may not realize she's carrying until much older. And I will say that I had that growing up, and that's how I know that is because that my mother befriended me from a very young age. And as a child, because you are a child, you do not understand that is not the way to be. And so if you have befriended your children, if you feel like you can't wait to get home to talk to your children about the latest things going on in your life, you are damaging them. Kids deserve to be kids. They deserve to not have to go through things with their parent. Get a friend. Literally, get a friend, get a journal. But don't I see it with mothers and daughters a lot. I see a lot of, you know, the emotional incest is a thing with mothers and sons, and that's a thing and also very gross. But I'm talking about mothers and daughters where you have, I know a woman who has befriended her daughter, and some of the things that she tells me, I'm just like, I would never. Now the daughter has an issue with the husband because of things you've told your daughter that she should never know, right? And so you feel like, oh, I want to outlet, or I want to be real like that. I don't think, I just, and that's my personal opinion. Y'all can be like, oh, this is and I hate when I see, social media sucks. When I see posts like, oh, I'm raising my best friend. Barf, get a friend.
Don't do that.
Even if y'all are like 13 years apart, like even if you had the child very young, I can't talk to Kennedy. I'm gonna tell you something. Kennedy and I are not having girlfriend conversation unless we talking about her girlfriend stuff. I got friends. There is nothing I learned from Kennedy by observing, like, she's such a patient person. But there's nothing that she can actively teach me in a conversation with her. That is it blows me away. It literally blows me. Like, women talking to their children, like, so maybe I'm just weird.
I don't think you're weird. I'm rocking with you, but I'm still kind of, I don't know, because I feel like, you know, Amaya, that's my only daughter.
She's not your friend.
I wouldn't call her my friend.
Okay.
No, because
right. Thank you.
You're not even going to address me like girl.
Yeah.
You know, because I would definitely check that.
Right.
But I do feel like we have had, and I don't want to say girlfriend conversations, but deep conversations.
That's different.
Because at the end of the day, kids do have questions, right? That safe place. They.
But I'm not talking about that, Lisa.
No,
You ain't talking about
there.
you and Jigs.
Girl, stop it. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Oh, honey, we gonna have to talk offline then. Go ahead. Because
you opened it up. I can't sit here and be nodding my head.
Well, tell me the truth. Then shame the devil. Come on.
I'm not trying to go too deep into it either. But there are times. Again, parenting is not easy, right? Motherhood is not easy.
Right.
Things happen. You can't stop things in the track when it happens. It just
Right.
happens.
Right.
So there may be times where Jigs, my baby, may come home and he's had a bad day, or maybe I've had a bad day, and the communication is just not there. And we're not even right now. We're targeting each other. We're looking at each other. We're not really thinking that the kids are even around, and we might go into a conversation that may just turn a little heated. And, Amaya, daughter, our kids, speaking Maya right now, may be around, and eventually the argument may stop. But there may still be questions. Mama, I heard Jigs when he said that. Why he said that? And not as a friend, but I will. Girl, listen, he's tripping. And, he came at me wrong, and I don't want you to have come at you wrong. Okay. So, so it to me, I feel like it's not a friend, but I can say that I don't knock a mother having real girl conversations about not marriage, not deep marriage, but if they see something going on and they witness it, I would talk that out, you know what I'm saying, with my child. Like, I'm not going to her like, girl,
if she, so what you're saying,
please, girl, because
if she, and that's the difference, right? Like what you're saying is if she witnessed them. So me, I'm very, I'm very careful. And I'm very careful about that. So, and I know that's how we differ, but I'm very careful. So my husband and I,
but we're learning.
No.
Well, we're getting to relationships too.
But we're gonna talk about relationships. I'm probably just gonna flow into this in a minute. But
EP2
when we look, me and your brother argue because it's the nature of life. It's not because whatever.
Yes,
but we don't do it in front of the kids. Like I'm gonna give him a look, or he's gonna give me a look at him. I'm not the one of the two, so we need to head to the bedroom.
Okay,
and so we don't do it. So I've never had questions like that because I am all they see is love. Literally, my boys will tell you, I want to be a father because of the way that I see
and he's awesome.
Their dad, right?
Yes.
I want to be a husband because of the way that he sees their dad treat me.
Yes.
Not that let me tell you something. I have told my husband recently, everything that you do gets on my nerves, right? Like that's a real statement. But like, not that we don't get on each other's nerves. Our kids don't see that.
Yes.
Right. And so, but it doesn't mean, and like for me, if there is I can sit here and say my children have never asked me about anything that my husband has done. And because here's the thing, it's me and my husband against them first and foremost.
I love it.
But
that's right.
We don't do that, right? And so there's never a cause for that. And so what they see, I can't even speak on it because I've never had to talk to my children about that. Now, as far as like, and I tell my kids because I don't want to I desire to have grandchildren, Lisa.
You are.
And so I don't want them to be in a relationship with someone who feels like they're talking about them. So I tell my kids, don't talk to me about your wife. So I try to tell them, don't talk to me about your girlfriends. If you're in a relationship, do not talk to me about that because I don't want to not like them. Because family doesn't forgive.
Oh my gosh.
And that's another reason that I don't involve my children in my relationship because family doesn't forgive.
Absolutely.
So you and your man have moved on, right? Like y'all had your argument, you moved on, and now your daughter is still like, but you yelled at my mama.
Absolutely.
And you said this. And so you're wondering why she got a whole attitude with him, but because you have invited her into a conversation to me. And this is my personal opinion, and it's like at this point, because I know someone who is like, the child has made kind of assumptions about what could be going on. And instead of saying that's between me and your dad and we're working it out and you stay in a child's place, has divulged too much. And again, so now the child has issue with the dad because the mom has not checked the child and told her to stay in her place. And so I've never had the conversation, but I can tell you unequivocally, if Kennedy were to come to me and say, or Dallas or Gia or Bird come to me and say, hey, what is this? I would say a conversation between adults.
I love
when
it.
you get you a man, you'll understand that there, you know what I'm saying? There are some issues, but
Yes.
all you're going, what I want you, and it's not, maybe people think that that's not being real or whatever, but
No,
again, that's
real enough.
I don't,
Yes,
I don't think that that's something that a child has to carry, you know, and children will carry that stuff. Like they will carry it. And again, you've moved on.
Yes.
And now, and your kid is like, well, I'm still mad because you did this to my mama.
No, that's a good statement.
It's their kid brain.
Statement.
You see what I'm saying?
That's in general, not even just kids, not just anybody.
Family
you
don't
call
forgive.
Anybody, and you let them know about the fight and what that other person did. You already know the family is gonna hold that grudge. Yes.
And that's real. That's what I say. So I try not to talk about, even like with me and Galen, I try not to talk about family, about our stuff, because family just doesn't forgive. So now we have transitioned from motherhood and we can talk about our husbands a little bit, but I think y'all have had enough of us for right now. So we'll see y'all next week as we're gonna finish this up. We're gonna finish it. We're not gonna leave. We're gonna do our apple juice. See, we're not drinking right now because we're talking about some very sobering things. So we're gonna, you know, finish up this conversation, but you guys will be able to see it next week. Thank y'all for joining us on That's Right. I'm Crystal.
And Alisa.
Black Girls, Black Girl. See y'all later.